Okay, so you were saying,
I was formally introduced to Dad right before Christmas. He was with another date, I was with another date in kind of a cocktail lounge. So I was, that's
okay, so
when
when did the dating start? When did
yeah,
the
wait,
pickup
yeah.
line start and all that?
And then we got to know each other because I was a very slow eater and I was there through a couple of shifts of people a lot of times, especially dinner time. And so often he'd be one of the people sitting next to me or across from me or near me. Um, and so we got to know each other somewhat then. And then our good friend George Wada, you remember who that is, he was teaching us. Oh, every Thursday night, the men from the dorm came over to watch Dragnet on TV in the women's dorm because they didn't have a TV in the men's dorm.
Oh, interesting.
And so there was a mix of boys and girls who watched Dragnet together.
Okay.
And then George Wada offered to teach us Jitterbug. So several of us were doing the Jitterbug, and so Jim and I were doing the Jitterbug, and that's when he asked me to go out. And I don't even know what he had in mind when we went out. But then my friend Paula from Ecuador, Quito, Ecuador, said, "Oh, you should pretend like you're eloping." And so then I took my hat box, which is a big zippered
with the hat in it?
Box.
With the
Well,
hat in it?
that's probably what it did have in it.
Okay.
I took that as if it was an overnight bag and pretended like we were eloping. And we just went out and drove around, and then we went and sat on a hill overlooking the sunset, watched the sunset, and just talked.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did he talk all about himself, or did he ask about you?
Oh, I think we both asked each other about things. I don't know. I don't remember what all we talked about.
Well, then what happened next?
And then he asked me out again, and I already had a date. And I said, "Oh, no, I can't go out." So then 2 or 3 weeks went by before he asked me out again.
Oh.
And he told me then that he was never going to ask me out again because he had this attitude that if he asked a girl out a second time and they said no, that they didn't want to go out with them.
But wait a second. Did you say no on the second time?
The first date was when I pretended
for yes, okay. And then the second date you said no.
The second time was when I said no.
Okay.
And so he took that to mean I wasn't interested.
But there was something about you that he...
He wasn't going to ask me out again.
Wow.
But then he decided he would.
Wow. Thank God for that.
And he told me that he had this notion that
this thing, yeah.
He just didn't...
He wasn't a pursuer.
Didn't want to be rejected again.
Yes.
Or something.
So then what happened?
So then we ended up dating, and then that June is when I went up to San Francisco because that's where I had my 3 different, no, it was 2 different,
rotations?
What do you call them? Yeah, rotations. 6 weeks each in 2 different places in San Francisco.
Okay.
So I was living up there all summer, but every weekend he would come up and see me, or I guess the way I went down probably was him coming up and getting me and bringing me down. And then I'd stay in the women's dorm.
How far away is it from Palo Alto to San Francisco?
Not too much over an hour, I don't think.
Wow, he must have really liked you. When did you say...
I think he did like me.
When did you say to yourself, this is the guy for me?
Oh, I don't know when I did.
Well, what was it about him that you most liked, that you just,
Real steady and solid and good sense of humor. And, of course, very bright. Just a lot of things. I don't know, just a big teddy bear. I remember when I first was up in Portland with him, I wanted him to see the teddy bear that he was going to be taking the place of. And when I saw the teddy bear, I thought, oh my gosh, it was humiliating. It didn't have any fur left on it hardly, because I had loved it so much for years.
So there was never a moment where you said...
Not one moment. I just kind of grew into knowing.
Uh-huh.
And then we decided that we would be engaged, but it wasn't official. We decided before Christmas. And then I wasn't supposed to tell my folks, but I did. It's very bad.
Wow. Well, that's my next question. What was the first meeting like when your parents met
Oh,
Jim?
the first meeting was very embarrassing.
Oh, tell me about that.
Oh, it was awful.
Tell me. I didn't hear about
We-
this.
We were coming back, excuse me. We were driving up to Portland for Thanksgiving. And he was going to be meeting my folks for the first time.